All right, if this video is playing, I'm assuming you are seated, silent. Oh, and wait, is your binder still out? Because I'm going over the warm-up. So if you haven't even done the warm-up, then maybe pause the video and give them a chance to work on the questions. Guys, you should know when you walk in, you get seated. I know you may have the announcements during second period, but either way, you're working on the warm-up while he's talking. So give him a few minutes to work on this. If you will, look at once it's done, you can play the video back up again. And here we go. So number 1, the ratio of number of almonds to the number of raisins in a bag of trail mix is 4:3. There are 600 almonds in the bag. How many raisins are in the bag of trail mix? So remember, this is what we tested on last week. When I see a ratio 4:3, I make that a fraction. What's the most important thing you need to do on these? Some of us forgot to do on the last test. Label. So 4, it tells you here, is the ratio of almonds to raisins. So it tells you the order, which means 4 should be labeled almonds and 3 should be labeled raisins. On the other side of the fraction, I have to figure out where 600 goes. Well, why is it important to label? And those of you who actually answered the screen, 600 almonds means 600 should go in the numerator on the second fraction. And now I just cross multiply and divide. So, zoom in a little there, sorry. So I multiply 600 times 3, which is 1800. Then I'm going to divide that by 4. Can 4 go into 1? No. So make sure to put an X like we talked about on Friday. Always put an X or 0 if it does not go into that number. 4 goes into 18 4 times, which is 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring down the 0. 4 goes into 25 times, which is exactly 20. But then I have this 0 at the end, so that means I bring it up to my answer. So my answer should be 450. Who got that one right? Those of you who actually did it. All right, number 2, I see a picture, so I draw it. If you count, I have 3 rectangles, which is 3x. And my square, there's +1. We assume is positive, but it does tell me here that they are positive. Equals my squares here, which is 7. Then you draw your line down the equal sign. And since I see addition, what do? Subtract. Is that the same or different? Different, because one's positive, one's negative. So what do I do when they're different? 7 minus 1 is 6. How do I know what 6 is? Yep, you look at the number that's bigger. So since 7's bigger, it's positive. And then I divide by 3. And remember, like we practiced last week, get in the habit of putting x equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Who was 2 for 2 on that one? Okay, make sure that goes back in your binder. New week, new warm-up. All right, so like I told you last week, I was going to be out Monday for the morning classes. So that does not mean a free day. It means we keep working even if I'm not there. So I'm going to leave this video to go over the warm-up and the notes and then the assignment. If you put your binder away, I wonder why, because you need it. So go ahead and get it back out. Give you a second to do that. All right, and then we have our notes. So I gave you these notes on Friday because I knew I would be out today. So go to 5.1. And even if you were absent Friday, then I went ahead and put these in your binder. So find them. 5.1. If you need to pause the video to make sure everybody's there, please do before I get started. Oh, let's see if some people forgot to even grab a pencil. Make sure you have a pencil handy. Any kind of disruption, please pause the video so that way everybody's paying attention. All eyes should be on the board, ready to go. If you will, look at your notes, 5.1. So this is kind of a connection to what we did in chapter 4 a little bit. And this part of the chapter 5 is called unit rate. Unit rate describes the amount per 1, put that in the blank, amount per 1, or the rate when the denominator is 1. Okay, you see this a lot like when you go to the grocery stores or gas stations and just in general like driving. For instance, this particular case, it says it costs 27 cents per ounce. So that means it's just per 1 ounce versus here it's 40 miles per gallon, so per 1 gallon. So if you look at number 1, it says a bowler scores 1,106 points in 14 games. Well, I have to figure out how much it would be, how many points per game. So a lot like what we did in chapter 4 is I take these first two numbers and I make them a fraction. So 1,106 goes on top and 14 goes on bottom. So far familiar, right? If we label 1,106 as points and 14 is games, but notice there's not a second fraction. That's because I'm trying to figure out how much it would be per one game. So I put 1 in the denominator for the second fraction. And now it's just what we did for the last couple of weeks. I multiply 1,106 times 1, which is just 1,106. And now I'm going to divide by 14. Look familiar? Pretty easy, right? Now 14 is not the prettiest number, so let's do it together. 14 does not go into 1, so put an X or a 0. 14 does not go into 11, so put an X or a 0, because some of us shift our decimal over and we get the wrong answer based off the decimal place. Now I have to figure out how many times 14 goes into 110. Take a guess. How many 14s do we think? Now, I'm not actually there, guys, so if you're answering, I love it, but I'm not there. 14, let's say it goes in 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 is 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Oh, I guessed too small, so let's try 6 times. Who actually said 6 when I was asking? 84. Okay, let's see if we can go 7 times. 4 times 7 is 28, 7, 8, 9, 98. And if I tried to do another 14, it would be 112. That would be a little bit too much. So 7 goes on my top. I'm going to subtract 98. Well, 110 minus 98 is 12. Bring down the 6, and I have to figure out how many times 14 goes into 126. Well, I know 14 goes into 100 or times 8 is 112, so maybe it's 14 times 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 9, 10, 11, 12, and that's exactly on the nose, 126. So it's a 9. Now, this is how you answer this question, though. So it's asking how much it would be for one game. So my answer was 79 points per game. And if I went a little too fast there, please pause the video for them to do that, okay? Now, this is where it can get a little tricky. Number 2, an 11-ounce bottle of shampoo costs $4.62. This is where I have to be careful because 11 doesn't go on my numerator. When we're talking about cost per something, cost is usually our numerator. So 462 is actually going to go on top versus 11 is going to be in our denominator. Now, I promise on the next few questions, that's going to make more sense. But we put our cost on top. So I label it dollars and ounce here. And I have to figure out how much it would cost per ounce, okay? So that means I just cross multiply, divide. So I multiply 462 times 1, which is just 462. And then I'm going to divide by 11. All right, so 11 does not go into 4. So I put an X, but I bring my decimal place up. 4 goes into 46 4 times because that's 44. I subtract 46 and 44 and I get 2. Then I bring down the 2 next to it, and 11 goes into 22 2 times. So since we're talking about cost, this is going to cost 42 cents because it's after the decimal per ounce. Okay, now if I completely lost you, let's keep practicing. So keep up with me the best you can. If I'm going too fast, let the sub know and then we'll pause the video. But make sure you're actually paying attention, you're writing all this down. Just listening is not going to be enough, okay? Number 3. This is what the questions will actually look like. A 12-pack of orange soda is priced at $3. What is the price per soda? Underline this part, price per soda, or put a box around it, highlight it. I don't care what you do, okay? But do something with that sentence. So this is what I mean by it's going to tell you the order to set your fraction up. Price per soda. So which number is the price? That would be the $3. So the $3 is going to be my numerator. Since it says per soda second, that means the numbers of sodas goes in my denominator. Well, I don't see another number, do you? There it is, a 12 pack of soda. So 12 is going to be my denominator. And again, since I'm asking what price per a single soda would be, I'm trying to figure out what one soda would be. That's it. So I cross multiply divide, which means I'm going to do 3.00 divide by 12. Well, 12 does not go into 3. I have to bring my decimal up. 12 goes into twice because that's 24. 30 minus 24 is 6, and I bring down my 0, and I have to figure out how many times 12 goes into 60. What do you think? Well, it goes into it, if you know your 12s, exactly 5 times. So that is 60. And so here's my answer. It would be 25 cents, so don't forget the decimal, per soda. So that's how you'll see your answer written. Not too bad. Let's do that again. Number 4, Pacific Coast Coffee is priced at $9 for 50 cups. Here it is. Underline this. Price per cup. So I have to do price over cup. The price is $9 over the cup, which is 50. Now, and then I'm trying to figure out how much it would cost for 1 cup. That's what it means by per cup, for 1 cup. So I multiply 9.00 times 1, which is 9.00, and then I divide by 50. Now, before you think this is the zero trick, you would be wrong, because it's not 900, it's 9.00. So I can't take off the zeros in this case, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to leave the zeros in the decimal. 50 does not go into 9, so put an X. I bring my decimal up. 50 goes into 90 one time, which is subtract, and I get 40, and bring down my 0. I have to figure out how many times 50 goes into 400, so we guesstimate. What do you think? If you said 8, let's check. 8 times 0 is 8, or 0, my bad. 8 times 5 is 40, so it would be 8 times, which is exactly 400. So my answer would be 18 cents per cup. There it is. Number 5. Jordan bakes cupcakes at the local bakery. Jordan baked 120 cupcakes in 4 hours. What was average cupcake per hour? So make sure you focus on that part. Cupcake per hour means cupcakes goes first. Well, which number is cupcakes? That would be 120. So that's what goes in my numerator. Per hour, which would be 4 hours, and I had to figure out how much it would take for 1 hour. So have you noticed a trend so far? It's always going to be a denominator of 1. So that means 120 times 1 is just 120, and then I divide by 4. Well, 4 does not go into 1, so put an X above the 1. 4 goes into 12 3 times, which is exactly 12. Subtract, and I have a 0. Remember, if I bring down a 0, I actually have to bring that 0 up, because 4 times 0 is 0. So it would be 30 cupcakes per hour. And that's how you would see your answer written. So far, so good. We're just going to keep on trucking. Now, here's what I want you to do for this one. If you please, pause the video and have them do number 6 by themselves. Then come back and play the video once everybody's tried it, and then see if they got the correct answer. Pause it, please. Now, number 6. There are 175 children in 5 classes. How many children per class? So hopefully you saw this order, which means 175 goes in my numerator and 5 goes in my denominator. We want to figure out what per class would be, so the 1 goes in the denominator. Well, 175 times 1 is 175. Then I'm going to divide by 5. So far, what you got, if you actually did it, 5 does not go into 1, but it goes into 17. How many times did you think? 3, which is 15. I subtract 17 minus 15, which is 2. Bring down the 5. And then how many times did 5 go into 25? It went in 5 times. So, but did you just write 35 as your answer? Hopefully you put more to that, because it should be 35 children per class. It's like taking this thing that we underlined and put it as the answer. That's literally it. Okay. All right. Pause the video again and have them do number 7 by themselves. Once they've done it, please come back and play the video. All right, number 7. Carson went to the farmer's market and bought 3.5 pounds of lettuce for $8.75. What is the cost of vegetables per pound. So cost per pound means the 8.75 should have gone on top and 3.5 on bottom, where 1 is the second denominator. Did you set it up correctly? Hopefully. Now, I multiply 8.75 times 1, which is just 8.75, and divide by 3.5. Remember last week we talked about on Friday, what do I do when I divide by a decimal? Hopefully you remembered to move the decimal over, outside and in. So it's not 3.5, it's 35, and it's not 8.75, it's 87.5. So 35 does not go into 8. So I put an X. 35 goes into 87, let's say twice, which is 70. Can you add another 35 before going over 87? You can't. So it should be 2. Now notice where my decimal place moved. So the decimal should be after the 2 when I bring it up. I'm going to subtract 70. 87 minus 70 is 17, and I'm going to bring down a 5. And I have to figure out how many 35s go into 175. What did you guesstimate? Maybe 5? 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 3 is 15, 16, 17. Right on the nose. So if 5 goes in there, and I subtract 175. So hopefully you just didn't write 2.5 dollars. So I actually need to make it 250. Who actually added the 0? Because we're talking about money. It's okay if you didn't, but it's $2.50 per pound. Not too bad. Okay, so hopefully you got the idea of it. Go ahead and put that in your binder if you don't have it in there already, and put your binder away if you don't think you need it. Don't go too crazy. I might have to say it because I think we're getting too rowdy. 3, 4, 5. I'm actually going to do a different call out next week. So if you will, make sure you get this passed out. It's the activity for today. Okay. Now, depending on how much time is left, guys, just get as far as you can. Okay. So if you will pass this out, pause the video to give you time to do that. Once you have this passed out, everybody should be looking at it. Make sure you're listening, guys. Put your name at the top, please. Now, I'm not going to shorten this one. I want you to work out every single question, but I'm going to do a couple of them with you, especially Tabitha and Blake. Okay. The rest of them are pretty basic, but I want to go over Tabitha and Blake. So for instance, look at Tabitha. Notice it's already different because it's a table instead of, it's not a word problem like this one. So here's how you work the table. It was on the notes on the back, but I didn't have time to go over that. So let's go over it on here. Everybody should be listening and watching. You're welcome to do all of this on your whiteboard marker and eraser. Don't get too rowdy yet. Just listen, okay? On the table ones, I have to figure out what order to put the numbers in. For instance, it's not like you believe it where you put 7 over 266. And no, it's not because of the big numbers go on top. But if I think about the wording here, what makes more sense? Minutes per word or words per minute? If you are in keyboarding class this year, you've probably heard this a lot, words per minute, okay? So you're actually going to do 266 over 7. And the only reason you have these other two numbers is because you can do 304 over 8 and 342 over 9 and still get the same answer. So I'm just going to do 266 over 7 equals 1 on the denominator. So 266 times 1 is 266, and then you'd have to go and divide 266 divided by 7. I'm actually going to let you figure that out. I just wanted to help you set it up. So 266 divided by 7, you get an answer. And make sure you write your answers in the little space that they have underneath each question, okay? Now look at Blake right here. Joyce buys a bus pass for the month of March for $32.55. How much does the bus pass cost per day? So the reason why you don't see a second number is because what do you think you're going to have to divide $32.55 by? Well, it talked about month, right? And then it said per day. Well, how many days in a single month? Now we're talking about this month of March. And if you don't know your calendar, of course, I don't even know every day of the month for calendars, but there are 31 days in March. So you would actually have to do 32.55 divided by 31. Okay, and then that's how you find that answer. Now, work on your own on this, get as far as you possibly can. There may be time tomorrow, but your goal is to get all 9 done because there are only 9. All you're essentially doing, guys, is dividing. So make sure you're just careful on the order. And on the word problems especially, it tells you which number to go on top. So this one says calorie per sandwich. So make sure you put the correct number on top and the correct number on bottom. Okay, so do your best. Be good. I want to hear a good note from the sub for the remainder of the day or the remainder of class, and I'll see you tomorrow.